Galnet News, your galaxy in focus, 24th of January, 3301. In today's news, the Palladium Cloud event begins soon in Jotunheim. Lucan Onion Head is now being cultivated in the Tanmark system. The sale in LHS 3447 is coming to an end, and we sat down with top pilot and wanted criminal Commander Voeckler to talk about combat in general. Our top story is from the Jotunheim system, where an event known as Palladium Cloud is due to take place later today. Caradras McCall has the story.
The Jotunheim system, just 40 light-years away from Achenar, the Imperial capital system, and also the home of the infamous Big Harry's Monkey Hangout, known for its rather recognizable name and less than legal pursuits, is now the home of a new event, first reported by GNN. It seems that the Hangout is going to be hosting a special opening event called Palladium Cloud, where members of the Goon Squadron, a group of pilots working for one of the factions of Jotunheim, are going to be dropping several hundred tons of palladium near the many major stations in the Jotunheim system, including Big Harry's itself. Palladium is a rare metal that's been used for purification purposes since the 20th and 21st century, when over half the supply of it went towards catalytic converters that converted the exhaust of combustion engines from more dangerous gases like nitrogen dioxide and carbon monoxide to much safer kinds such as carbon dioxide and dihydrogen monoxide, though it is noticeable that any who do drink the liquid state of dihydrogen monoxide do end up dying. To this day, palladium is still important for those purposes inside stations and ships. It's been observed that the sole purpose of the Palladium Cloud event is just to find a use for the ridiculous amounts of wealth that the Goon Squadron finds themselves in the possession of, and many grumble, rather reasonably, that it's an absolute waste to just drop the valuable metal for other pilots to reach, when plenty in the Federation system starve due to a lack of credits to support themselves. Nevertheless, Jotunheim is an independent system, and the Palladium is owned by the pilots themselves, not the government. The Palladium Cloud event will be starting on the 24th of January, reported by Caradras McCall, Galnet News.
Some pilots will feel that the Goon Squadron's reputation precedes them, and that when something appears too good to be true, it usually is. Pilots are cautioned to visit this event at their own risk. The event will begin in Jotunheim from 2300 hours GMT today, the 24th of January. A new revelation in the Onion Gate crisis now, which appeared to be over for a while, but some breaking news from the Tanmark system seems to indicate that Admiral Vincent's bombing of Panem has only slowed the spread of Onion Head. News has reached Galnet that a new strain of Onion Head, which is believed to have been cultivated in secret somewhere on Luca, with assistance from farmers from Panem in the Capricornaceous system, has begun turning up on the local markets. A dedicated reporter managed to track down Giorgio Algeria on Panem, and it seems his group have been part of this. He said, "I said we would be back, and here we are. You cannot spoil our happiness. We are still cool. We have more friends than you realize. And now we are rich." Due to a quirk of federal law, the new strain does not fall under the statute banning the sale of Onion Head, as Lucan Onion Head is a different strain. Federal labs are reported to be rushing the test through in order to make it illegal as soon as their processes allow. In the federal system of LHS 3447, the recent sale is to come to an end. Last week, the Future of LHS 3447 party generously announced that they would be sharing their recent success by offering a substantial discount on all ships purchased from the shipyards of LHS 3447. The sale has seen independent pilots flocking to the system, which, in turn, has led to local traders experiencing a huge boom in profits across the board. As the sale begins to draw to a close, the Future of LHS 3447 party have issued a statement thanking all of their customers for helping stimulate the system's economy, pledging to spend a fifth of the profits earned on rejuvenating system services aboard stations throughout LHS 3447. "The last week has been simply amazing," a representative of the Future of LHS 3447 told Galnet. "We never dreamed the response would be so positive. We can only hope that traders continue to think of LHS 3447 as a destination of choice in the future. The future of LHS 3447 is to become a hub of interstellar commerce for all vessels passing through this sector. If you don't believe me, come visit us this weekend. The sale has to end soon, so come get yourself a bargain before it's too late." There is no official word on the precise end date of the sale in LHS 3447. Commander Voeckler is a wanted man in Federation space, but he knows a thing or two about flying, and is more than happy to share his knowledge with his fellow commanders. We had the opportunity to talk to him recently about combat in general. I'm joined now by Commander Voeckler, who has given up some of his precious time to talk a little bit about space combat. We all know space can be a very dangerous place, and you are equipped to deal with that situation. But what sort of training have you had?
I've had incredibly extensive training, as my home world was an anarchy pirate system, so as you could imagine, I lived a very dangerous life growing up, fending for myself.
I think one of the first questions that will be on the minds of most commanders is there a best ship for taking on other commanders?
Now, I think that all comes down to personal opinion. If you ask me, I would say it would be the Viper is my ship of choice.
And what is it about the Viper that makes it so attractive when it comes to combat?
It would namely be the low hull weight, allowing you to quickly change direction, stop your ship, as well as the high maneuverability, allowing you to stay out of the firing cones of the other commanders, along with the tight fire group grouping. The tight hardpoint grouping allows you to use fixed weapons with extreme ease.
Let's talk a little bit about weaponry then. A lot of commanders opt for the beam laser and the multi-cannon approach. Is that the best way to approach things, or how would you kit out a Viper?
Well, my go-to kit for the Viper is 2 beam lasers or pulse lasers and either multi-cannons on the small hardpoints. Primarily, I tend to run rockets, as they pack a huge punch and can quickly turn the tide of a battle.
Are we talking about guided missiles or unguided?
I am talking about the unguided rocket pods.
And what about defenses? How important a role does a shield cell bank play?
I think a shield cell bank is an incredibly important internal component that any commander expecting to enter heavy combat should be running.
What sort of power distribution are you going to be running in a typical battle? Will it be all to weapons or some mixture?
If I am pursuing a target, I will have 2 pips to engines, 4 pips to weapons. If I am getting into a head-on battle, it will be 3 shields and 3 weapons.
And do you find that the lack of power to engines in that full-on battle will affect your maneuverability?
Quite the opposite effect. The fact that the ship is moving slower allows you to perform tighter turns, allowing you to keep out of the cone of fire of someone a little bit easier.
And how important do you think it is for commanders to master the art of flight without flight assist?
I'd say that it is a skill that you really don't need. Personally, I had never toggle flight assist. All of my flying is done with flight assist enabled. However, it is a good thing to learn to keep your ship in control without flight assist, as a favored target by commanders everywhere are your drive systems, and when those malfunction, you're basically flying without flight assist. The engine stabilizers become disengaged.
And what sort of other equipment would you recommend commanders fit for a combat ship that we haven't talked about?
I think chaff is a very important module to be running for a defensive setup. The ability to render many weapon types useless is invaluable in a lot of combat situations.
When it comes to commanders who are just starting out with the Sidewinder, for example, is there a way of configuring such a small ship to be as effective in combat?
Absolutely. The Sidewinder is a small but capable ship. With 2 utility mounts, you can easily equip enough chaff modules to render commanders using tracking weapons useless, along with a couple of beam lasers seem to be a very good all-rounder. They strip shields easily and do quite considerable damage to the hull.
What's your approach when tackling eagles in particular, knowing that you can't outmaneuver them as easily?
Now, it is true that the Eagle is extremely maneuverable, having flown one for most of my early career. But with that maneuverability, it lacks in defenses. So my preferred tactic for taking on those is simply to throw it into reverse and just burn them down.
And one final question for you, Commander. Perhaps commanders who have never tried combat against other commanders for fear of being unsuccessful might want to hear from somebody like you on how long it might take and what their chances are, especially if they're not confident.
Well, if you're coming from a trading background and have never set foot in combat before, but are willing to learn, the most important tip I would have is do not leave your throttle set in one place. Don't just set it into your combat speed and leave it there. Throw it into full thrust, reverse, whatever you need, along with use your lateral thrusters. I've seen so many people fail to use their lateral thrusters or even reverse thrust, and it makes them extremely easy pickings. Use of reverse thrusters and lateral thrust allows me to flip 180 without the use of flight assist, and it is an extremely valuable skill to learn.
Some great advice there, Commander Voeckler. Thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to have been here. One thing that I really don't like is an easy kill.
And that's the Galnet news for today. Tune in next time to keep your galaxy in focus.